So part of being a European aristocrat, there came a lot of things that they were privileged to have that a lot of other people didn't have. And one of these things was the educational rite of passage, and this was known as the Grand Tour. Young men and women would spend up to a year traveling and exploring all the best arts, culture, and music Europe had to offer. We have to realize and remember that there was little access to these things, even amongst the wealthy. The only art you ever really got to saw was that hanging in your living room wall or on that of your neighbor or your rich family member, but mainly it was amongst the rich people. And this was simply unacceptable for the rich folks. So the idea of the Grand Tour was instituted in order to give the young men and women a perspective outside of their hometown, and so that they could become more open-minded and have a greater view of what more was out there in the world, rather than just being stuck into my hometown where I was born, raised, and I will also be buried. So, Mendelssohn, as an aristocrat, obviously had to go for this Grand Tour. And where did he decide to go? To the Hebrides, up in Scotland. So these were not the most traveled parts, so it must have been quite an adventure for Mendelssohn, going all the way up to the Hebrides. The Hebrides are actually an archipelago of hundreds of islands up in northern Scotland, full of crashing waves, big caves, and just wilderness, kind of like an abandoned water wilderness, if you want to think of it like that. So, Mendelssohn was absolutely inspired from visiting the Hebrides, and he was overcome with ideas upon viewing the magical and mysterious Hebrides. He jotted down the melodies that came out of the fruit of his inspiration on the back of a postcard, and he sent them to his sister Fanny, the only person he would ever entrust to take care of what meant so much to him, his music, his compositions. And on this postcard he wrote, "In order to make you understand how extraordinarily the Hebrides affected me, I send you the following which came into my head there." He mailed the postcard to his sister to ensure his ideas were safe and waiting for him when he got home. When he returned home, the Hebrides Overture was officially underway, as Fanny had been keeping these melodies for him, and he finished composing for the Hebrides, what had absolutely inspired him as a result of having to take this grand tour as a European aristocrat. This piece is also known as Fingal's Cave because it was a visit to the basalt sea caves that actually inspired him to write this. The Hebrides Overture eventually put the Hebrides on the map for 19th century tourists who were eager to actually see what inspired Mendelssohn to actually write this piece of music. So go search up the Hebrides, have a look at what they actually look like, and have a listen to this piece and see if you can envision the awe and the magnificent landscape and the wildness of it all that is depicted within the music. So go ahead and listen to the Hebrides Overture, also known as Fingal's Cave.